Hello everyone! So instead of a devlog this week, I thought I'd be making a tutorial instead. So, tile palettes, what are they? To me, they are like a brush and a paint, the individual tiles being the paint. They let you design your level in an organised way without the need to figure out exactly where each game object must go, as they are all placed inside of a grid. A good example is a game like Mario or most other platformers, as they all use tile sets. A tile set is a set of tiles which are used to create the levels or the game. So you could have grass tiles, dirt tiles, stone tiles, slope tiles, obstacle tiles, etc. So, can you use tile palettes in Unity? Yes, I'm going to show you today. So to start with, let's open up a new 2D project in Unity. Once you have your new project open, I would first import some assets. A simple white square will do. Being white is very important here just because of the colours later down the road. For its size, I'm using 32 by 32. But you could really do any size as long as it's 64 by 64, 128 by 128. As long as it's a square basically, because that way they'll be scaled in the world properly. Once it's imported, go to import settings and change the pixels per unit to 32 or 64 if you did 64 by 64. This will ensure they are scaled correctly. Now comes the time to start adding our tile map. So, go to the plus icon here, go to 2D object, tile map. Now, you will see a grid component on your hierarchy. Click on that and you'll see a grid appear on the scene view. And this is your canvas to paint onto with your tiles. Expand the grid in the hierarchy and you'll see a tile map, which will now hold your tile palette. A tile palette window should also appear, but if it hasn't, go to Window, 2D, Tile Palette. First, let's create some folders. Call one palette and one tiles. Now, let's create a tile palette. Call it whatever you want for this tutorial, but in future reference, if you use it for a game, give it a meaningful name. So say it holds dirt objects, you could call it dirt palette. If it holds stone objects, stone palette. And save this in the palette folder. Now, drag your white square into the palette and save your new tile in the tile folder. Click on the square in the palette, then on the brush icon, or you can click B and you can start to draw. And congrats, you can now use tile maps. You can click D or the eraser icon to get rid of the tiles that you've drawn in. The other tools include a cursor icon, which lets you select part of the tile map, a move icon allowing you to move that selection, a square icon, which is where you draw in your tile palette like so, and then on your grid you drag and you can draw out tiles in that shape. This one is a bit easy if you look on the screen to see an example of it, but it makes it easy if you have more than one tile. It also allows you to have a bigger eraser. The eyedropper quickly lets you pick a tile from your scene by clicking on it in the grid, and you will then start drawing with it. So if you have one tile there which is white and then a red one, you can click on the white one, draw over that, and then you can quickly click on the red one and start drawing with that. Finally, the fill tool lets you fill an area of the grid with your selected tile. Now, like I said before about colours, if you click on your white square, which it should be, or white object, you'll see on the tile, you'll see it has a colour component, which you can quickly edit, or if you want one white square and one black square, say, just duplicate the tile, rename it and edit the colour of it. I've chosen red for this example. And then you can start drawing with this new tile, once you've dragged it into your tile palette. Now, this is how you draw with tiles in Unity. So how do we do collisions? Well, this is actually quite simple. For a square-based game like we have in front of you, you just click on the tile map and go to Add Component, Tile Map and Tile Map Collider. Or you could just type that in at the search. And all the tiles of that map now have a collider of them, and any new ones added will have a collider on them. And like a normal collider, you can make them triggers and have them detected in scripts. Or, like you may have seen in my game, you can have the player walk on them. The final bit of info for this tutorial will be slopes. Slopes are weird, as when you add them, the collider is not always perfectly on the slope. So first, let's import a slope if you haven't already. An easy way to make a slope is to draw a square and then cut it in half diagonally. And then make sure if it's 32 by 32 or again 64 by 64, you change the import settings. Now, what you do is go to Slope Sprite Editor and go to Custom Physics Shape. This is where you basically define your own collider shape for the slope. After a few clicks of moving the square around, which you generate by just dragging, you'll make a square. Once you've moved all the little parts of it to make a perfect slope to use in your game, You then add it back to the tile palette, and once you place it down, you should see that the collider works perfectly on it. Tile maps are fantastic. They make level design fun and quick if you know what you're doing. I really hope this tutorial helped you out. If you want to see more tutorials or want to see what I'm working on, please be sure to subscribe and like the video. If you have any questions or think I missed something out, please reply in the comments and help each other out if you can. We all need to learn and grow together. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.